Noswaith darlings, Owain Evans dwi a chroeso I wobre BAFTA Cymru 2025.
A mae'r wobr BAFTA Cymru yn mynd I Siân, Danielle iawn.
Diolch. Harry, Siân and Rees, you've all got such amazing careers, so you're fine. Lost Boys is so much more than a job or a part that I've played, and I'm really proud of what it's ended up being. But more than anything, I'm just proud of how we all made it, because it was just unlike anything else. So to BBC, to the Ducks, to Adam and your producers, to Dom for just understanding me, for Dav, just everyone, the whole cast and crew, all our SAs for making Neverland like the best fake club ever, to Fra, who I love on and off screen. We just had the best time. And Dav, you know me better than almost anyone, and I'm so glad that you ignored all the reasons I gave you as to why you should cast someone else. Because so many of you believed that I could do this. Laura and Evans as well for casting. You all trusted that I could do this when I was so certain that I couldn't. So thank you.
The BAFTA goes to Anna Maxwell Martin.
Oh, God. I wasn't expecting that at all. It's heavy, isn't it? Well, because I'm here, I'm just going to thank the people that bothered to turn up and not bother with the rest of them. Sammy, Jeff, Sam, Siân, you are all so incredible. Siân, I'll just talk about them for a minute. Siân didn't win tonight, that's fine. But in making this, it was quite, and thank you to Delia for letting us tell her story, but, you know, there were bits of it that were quite exposing and like, whew, and it was decided that we just shouldn't get an actor that was a dick in any way at all. And so we decided to get Siân. And he is the loveliest person to work with. Thank you so much, Siân. Sammy, I love Awana, and you are excellent at them. We all get to go home early. Sammy, you're so talented, like super, super talented. Sam, thank you so much. Jeff, there's no award for first ADs. You're the best, you're the loudest, the smallest. You are amazing, Jeff. You know I love you. Got a massive crush on Jeff. Julia, Ken, they're not here. Lots of people aren't here, but thank you to them, and thank you so much, BAFTA. Thank you.
A mae'r wobr BAFTA Cymru yn mynd I the Golden Cobra, Adam Llewellyn, James Prygodzicz and Thomas Rees.
I didn't think we were going to win, so I haven't prepared anything for this. So just want to say massive thank you to for giving us the award, I guess. Huge thank you to Paul Ford for producing the show, Dan and Sarah over there drinking wine right now for picking us up and believing in our weird cartoon. And also a big massive thanks to my fiancée Lizzie, that's in the audience right now, for putting up with me doing silly voices all night in the spare room. She made me say that, yeah. But anyway, thanks very much. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
A mae'r wobr BAFTA Cymru yn mynd I Deian a Loli.
Wow, diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much, BAFTA Cymru. Mae hwn yn anhygoel. Gai just dechrau trwy dweud pa mor arbennig ydy'r categori yma, pa mor bwysig ydy rhaglenni plant a pobl ifanc a sut ydych chi'n gallu dylanwadu pobl. Mae pwysig pam, mae Mabin Ogi yn amazing a ddylen nhw gyd, a da ni'n hynod falch o bod I fyny fyma ac yn cael ei nominate efo nhw. Maen nhw'n wych o rhaglenni ac yn dylanwadu pobl plant pobl Cymru. So felly gai just dwi'n meddwl bod hynna'n massive applaud am hwnna. Hefyd wedyn, heb yr ser bach yma, sef Magi a Brychan, fysa Danielle Loli ddim yn bodoli, felly. A gai hefyd, diolch yn fawr iawn I pawb yn cwmni da am yr holl cefnogaeth dros y blynyddoedd. Mae hwn yn degfad flwyddyn o gynhyrchu o rhan Loli. It's the 10th year of production and we are still going strong in our little micro crew that we have of like 4 people. No, slightly more. But diolch yn fawr iawn, BAFTA. Thank you very much. No stop.
Ac mae'r wobr BAFTA yn mynd i Miriam, Death of a Reality Star, Luned, Tonderai.
Diolch yn fawr BAFTA Cymru. Mae'n real anrhydedd i dderbyn y wobr yma. A dwi just mewn sioc. Obviously, it was incredible to be able to tell Miriam's story. I think it's a massive thank you really to her family for trusting me, because it took a lot of trust and a lot of bravery, especially from Miriam's mother. But I just would also like to say that really, it's an honour to tell Miriam's story as a woman as well, but also just the support that I've received as a director from other women, and I wouldn't be here but for that. And Gwenda Griffiths, who gave me my very first directing opportunity. I'd like to thank Gwenda, yes, very much. Thank you very much, thank you.
Yr enillid yw James Kent, Lost Boys and Fairies.
Well, if you're going to win an award, do it at the beginning of the night. You've got the whole evening. I'm really moved. I had a brilliant time in Wales. I'd never been to Cardiff before. I never wanted to leave. Dav, you're the hero of this. Yeah. And the ladies from Duck Soup and Adam, my producer, and all the heroes on the crew, thank you so much for helping me make this as special as I truly believe it is. Thank you.
Ac mae'r wobr BAFTA Cymru yn mynd i Danielle Palmer, Lost Boys and Fairies.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. This is amazing. As Sean said, this was an incredibly special show, and I've never met Sean, but I know his face, like every frame, many times. And it was such a special show for many reasons, not least Dav and James and Adam and all of the Ducks and the incredible cast. But I really do believe that, yeah, as Sean mentioned, the positivity and the love for it came from the top to all of us. And so we just really appreciate that. Thank you. And to my assistant editors, Caitlin and Charlotte, and huge thanks to them. To my wife, I'm in big trouble if I forget my wife, so thank you so much. And yeah, this is incredible. Thank you very much.
And the BAFTA Cymru goes to the Golden Cobra.
I was trying to get Dan to do his speech, but he said no, so it's me now. I didn't think we were going to win that at all. So, again, I've not prepped anything at all, but just want to say thank you to everyone that worked on the show, all of the animators, all of the cast and crew, everyone that couldn't be here tonight. That's all I got to say. Thank you so much, BAFTA, and Paul Ford as well, who's over there, and he was too shy to come on stage with us. Thank you.
And the BAFTA Cymru Award goes to Marw gyda Kris.
Wow. Diolch yn fawr. Diolch. Do'n i ddim yn disgwyl hynna. Fi'n gwybod chi fod I ddeud hynny. You're meant to say that this is unexpected, but truly. Diolch yn fawr I chi. Fi mor falch o'r cyfle I ddod fyny I gael diolch i'r criw bach yma. Mae yna fwy y tu ôl i'r rhaglen. There are more people involved, obviously, but not many more in some ways. Certainly not out filming. Diolch I S4C, diolch I Llynos Wyn, a phawb yn S4C nath gymryd y siawns o gomisiynu rhaglen gyda Marw yn y teitl, a rhaglen oedd yn agor y drws ar fyd sydd yn tabw I lot o bobl. So thanks S4C, thanks Llynos Wyn for taking a chance on us as a relatively young and new company, but on a subject matter that for some people is off-putting. For all of us is something we don't want to face. Mae wedi bod yn fraint cael wneud y rhaglen a teithio, a fi jyst eisiau diolch i'r criw yma sy'n ar y llwyfan yn barod. Diolch I Gito sydd wedi cydnyrchu'r rhaglen gyda fi. Diolch I Sioned yn uwch gynyrchydd efo'r exec. Gyda, who's co-produced as well, and to Phil as well, our fantastic online editor, and who also kept me in check as a very nervous editor on this series. There are two very important people. Mae yna ddau berson pwysig iawn sydd ddim yma. Andy Pritchard, ein boi camera rhyfeddol a gwych sydd wedi bod mewn ogofau gyda ni, mewn pylled dŵr, mewn mynwentydd, mewn angladdau dros y byd. So Andy Pritchard, fantastic. And of course, Christopher Hughes, who's probably more gutted than anyone for not being here. Kris enjoys a party more than anyone I've ever met. Even a funeral party. And that tells you something about Kris and his warmth. So diolch Kris am ddod ar y daith gyda fi, gyda ni, am gredu'n y syniad o'r dechrau. Mae dau berson arall, two other people, just briefly, fi eisiau cyflwyno'r wobr, fi eisiau diolch i Leri sydd yma hyn o'n ngwraig i, am gefnogi fi a'r criw i fynd i ffilmio, a pan o'n i ar yngweitha'n trafod marwolaeth, diolch Ler. A licen i gyflwyno'r wobr i yn ffrind pennau am rawd, Tudur. My brother Tudur, who didn't come with us, but on every step of the journey, he was in my heart and supporting me. So, mae'r wobr yma i Tudur. Diolch yn fawr.
A mae'r wobr BAFTA Cymru yn mynd i BBC Wales investigates Unmasked extreme far right.
Well, unlike other people here, I've got a little bit of a paper to get through because there's a few people in this investigation I just want to thank. First of all, BAFTA Cymru, thank you ever so much for this award. So much special, really, because this category was such fierce competition. So I just want to thank you for, one, obviously the journalism, great, mention there about the journalism and making sure the journalism, there's a future for journalism, and Bethan winning that award there was incredible. It's brilliant to see Bethan on stage championing young journalists. This investigation is a particularly tough one, so I'd like to thank a number of people for their tremendous work on it. The undercover person, for obvious reasons I can't name, and would be here on the stage with me, but he knows who he is. Without his incredible dedication and courage, this film would never be made. It could never be made. And the amazing producer-director, Jane Morgan, who unfortunately can't be here tonight. Reporter Russell T Davies, Alex Banfi, Paul Heaney, Ben Summer, Lee Bogle. It goes on, really. Lawyers and Ed Powell who are brilliant getting this out. Rees Evans, Rhiannon Richards for all their support. And lastly and finally, our new BBC Wales chief, Rees. I'm sure he did something. But anyway, it's always good to mention the new boss. Thank you ever so much again, BAFTA Cymru. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Hello, thank you. Sit down. We're hungry. Come on. Let me just tell you my favourite Welsh story, which is in 2005, when Doctor Who was nuts and mad and everywhere. And I walked into BBC Llandaf, and there was Pat Lochwy, the head of the nations. And I said, well, that went well, Pat. And he said, come here. He gave me the greatest compliment of my career. He said, they're very pissed off in BBC Scotland. He really did. Listen, I want to say thank you to everyone who's ever been helped with my career. That's the thanks done. That's boring. Thank you. So I just want to say what an honour it is to be here tonight. It particularly means a lot for me to be here tonight with Lost Boys and Fairies, with the work of Daft James, who I just think is so magnificent. And that show is so good and so beautiful. And I'm getting old. And there's like the next generation getting ready to write stuff. And Dab was being very kind enough to sort of say that Queer as Folk was an inspiration to him. I said, thank you, Dab. He said, that was quite a long time ago. I said, thank you, Dab. It was a really long time. Thank you, Dab. He said, I was a teenager. I said, shut up! Dab, stop! But it's a particularly great time, actually, to take a queer bent now, which I'm going to do, because there's a great uprising of writers here in Wales. We've recently had The Guest on BBC One, written by Matt Barry. Love that. Big success. I cast him many years ago as a gay schoolboy, and now he's so successful. There's also, of course, his best friend in real life is also the fantastic Llewellyn, who we adore. And she's the writer of In My Skin, the multi-BAFTA winning writer, and what a power in the land she is. So it's great to look at those people and look at that uprising, Queer as Cymru. I actually want to quote another Welsh writer right now, And that's a man called Harry Tanner, who writes non-fiction books. Harry, fan, yes. He is a scholar and a journalist, and he's written a book called The Queer Thing About Sin, which traces the history of the origin of homophobia. As he said himself last week in a speech, he said, "I've discovered the provenance of the cruelty that stalks our lives." An amazing man. But the point of this is, he went to a book signing. He was signing his own book. There was a queue. A woman came to him saying, could you sign this for my wife, please? He said, yes. She leaned in. She sort of said, my wife is a trans lady. He said, that's wonderful. And then she leaned in closer and she started crying. And she said, we are terrified. And that's Britain in 2025. That is the state we are living in. When someone, one of us, says they are terrified. That's our world. Not a foreign land somewhere. A world in which someone says they're terrified. And in many ways, I think the fight is on. And that terror takes many shapes. You just have to look at what happened in Manchester last week to see the terror that is entering our society. And I know television does really, really great work. I'm not here to tell you off. This is a room full of great people doing great things. It's amazing. You just have to go to Rothlock and watch Casualty and realise that on Casualty now, every week, there's a queue of ambulances at A&E. I really admire that. That's expensive. And that's a real depiction of what the NHS is like now. I love the work we've seen tonight. Helmand, Tour of Duty, that extraordinary thing. Mauled by a dog. That journey through Wales is nuts and dark and brilliant. And I love that thing. It's like, that's an incredible piece of work. And I'm standing here alongside Ruth, who has triumphed, having been born a Northerner. It's amazing work. Really. But I do think the world is toughening up. We've got elections coming up. There are Welsh elections coming up that terrify me and should terrify us all because we can see the way things are swinging. And I do think that when times get tough, TV gets timid. And you all know how hard it is to deal with compliance. And I'm not blaming the people in compliance. They work very hard and have a tough job to do. I do blame their bosses for getting scared. And I can feel it. I've literally had experience of this. The compliance is getting tough. You can't say this, you can't say that. You have to balance it. No, you don't have to fucking balance it. It's like you can just be strong and say what you want. And I think then that is where censorship creeps in. The censorship isn't the government, isn't the authorities, it's in us. That's when we sit there and say, oh, they won't like that. Oh, you can't do that. You can't say that. And then the worst form of censorship of all comes in at home, where the writers, and I don't just mean drama, I mean writers, whether you're in children's or factual or documentaries, entertainment, where those creators sit there saying, I can't write that. They won't like that. They won't accept that. They won't make that. And that is the worst form of censorship that exists because it censors an idea before it's ever been shown to someone. And that's what's beginning to happen. It's like, so, because... And I'm making a fuss. I know you want your dinner, but I'm making a fuss about this because I believe in television. I spent my life in television. I think it's the most wonderful thing. I think it's a cultural force. I think it's a force for good. I have literally seen it change lives. It can be an immense thing. So now, with the danger that is coming towards us, indisputably coming towards us, we now need a world in which the BBC stands for Big Balls Corporation. We need an ITV that is literally independent television. We need a Channel 4 that is Channel 4 something. We need a Netflix that is not enough trans films in it, love. Kiss. That took a while. But it's like we've seen in America what is happening, how the government is attacking the media. They're literally attacking people and literally suing them. And we all know in this country there are people who use that as a playbook. That is coming this way. That's a fact. And television at its best it's a beacon, it's a lighthouse, it's an emergency flare, it's a light in the dark, it is a torchbearer that stands for truth and insight and wisdom and justice, and we must not let that flame go out. Thank you very much.
And the BAFTA Cymru goes to Mr Burton, Stuart, Biddlecombe. They can't be here this evening, so we're going to make sure that they get this. Thank you very much. Thank you.
A mae'r BAFTA Cymru yn mynd I
Bethan Rhys Roberts.
Well, o'n I ddim yn disgwyl bod nôl fan hyn mor sydyn â hyn. I really didn't expect this one. Diolch o galon i'r tîm, maen nhw yma heno. Dio ddim yn hawdd wneud rhaglen etholiad. Hugh Folk, Siân Jones, Rhodri Llewellyn yn cyd-gyflwynydd hefyd. A diolch I Dan Edwards Phillips. He let me go, the director let me go to the loo during the 8-hour broadcast. He let me go once at 4 in the morning. So thank you so much. We never know where we're going on election night. Nobody knows the destination. You never know who you're going to be interviewing. But there's data, there's analysis, and there's drama. And this team made sure that we didn't miss a beat. So diolch o galon BAFTA. And let's do it all again ym mis Mai. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
A mae'r wobr BAFTA Cymru yn mynd I Mauled by a Dog.
I also love being Welsh. We were very surprised to get it. I just want to say thank you. You know, making short films is like incredibly difficult, and there's so many people up here because all these people did it for free, helped out as much as possible, and just did it to try and do something interesting. I also want to dedicate this to my mum, because when I told her the idea for the film, she just looked really disappointed. And she just went, can't you just make a film for me and my friends to watch, which is nice. But yeah, diolch yn fawr. And it goes to all the people from Scymru, the film collective that we work together to make films in Wales. So diolch yn fawr, and thank you very much to all these people. Cheers. Ta-ra!
Wel, diolch yn fawr iawn, ac mae'n gymaint o fraint derbyn gwobr Siân Phillips. Eicon mor gryf, mor ddawnus ac urddasol yng Nghymru ac ar draws y byd. A dwi mor ddiolchgar I BAFTA Cymru bod newyddiaduraeth yn enwedig yn y Gymraeg yn cael cydnabyddiaeth mor arbennig yma heno. To see journalism recognised here tonight and such talent is such a joy. But as journalists, we have a golden rule: never become the story. So, yes, this is an incredible honour for me tonight. It's always teamwork that makes it all happen, whether on big election specials, small last-minute foreign assignments, sharing that frantic rush to meet a deadline with dedicated colleagues who really care. They bust everything to get the story on air. On time, that's the best part of the job. And there are far too many brilliant individuals to name tonight, both on-screen and off-screen. The producers, all of operations, directors, cameras, all the crew. I wish I could name you all. Diolch o waelod calon. Dwi wedi cael y fraint o weithio gyda nifer fawr o dima yma yng Nghymru yn Llundain a thu hwnt, ond mae'r rhaid I mi ddiolch yn arbennig iawn i'r tîm cartref, sef criw hynod weithgar, talentog ac uchelgeisiol newyddion S4C. Diolch am fod yn gydweithwyr mor special am yr heria a'r hwyl. Thank you, newyddion S4C, and to BBC Cymru Wales News Department for all the opportunities in political and foreign reporting, and to the teams I've worked with as well at BBC World and BBC World Service. And thank you, of course, to the people who share their experiences with us. They trust us to tell their stories every night here in Wales and around the world, because without them, there would be no news. And as Jason said, I always wanted to be a journalist, and I owe a special thanks, therefore, to my great auntie Blod. She lived in Bridgend, and when we used to come down from Bangor to visit family in South Wales, as Jason said, she would always ask, any news from those up north? So yes, age 7, I did start a family newsletter, which promptly went bust. But she was my first ever headline, Auntie Blod has new curtains. And I was hooked. Now, journalism is changing at an incredible pace. We get pictures, testimony, reaction instantly on our phones and anywhere in the world. And if you add in AI, and who knows where this very exciting, very scary revolution is heading. But in an increasingly polarised world, full of competing narratives, Impartial reporting, fair debate, they're more important than ever, especially as we approach some very big stories here in Wales and, of course, abroad. And I hope this award motivates young journalists, especially women, to fight for facts, to scrutinise and to challenge. And finally, tonight, I'd like to thank the most important team of all, my family and my friends. Diolch I mam a dad a Wyn am yr holl gefnogaeth, I David ac i'r genod, Catrin a Sara. Diolch am eich cariad, eich amynedd a'r holl hwyl. Da chi wir werth y byd I fi. Diolch BAFTA Cymru, diolch yn fawr iawn.
And the BAFTA Cymru Award goes to Helmand, Tour of Duty.
Thank you, BAFTA, for this incredible award. I'm totally a bit speechless. There's a load of thank yous we could do. We could, BBC Wales, thank you very much, to Passion, to Kailash, to, all of our small but mighty, mighty team that made this. But really, I'm not going to go on because actually the biggest thank you and utter respect and adoration, inspiration should go to these gentlemen who represent
I would just like to say a massive thank you for Hannah and the team. Without them, our story would have died years ago. So, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening.
And the BAFTA Cymru Award goes to Mr Burton.
Diolch yn fawr, BAFTA Cymru. Diolch I chi gyd. Diolch ar Mark a Ed Talfan hefyd. So, am I going to try? Obviously, the clip we showed, the sound design's a massive thing with that applause thing they did at the end. So, Max and his team, Richard and... I can't remember the names. Go on, you say quickly. We're allowed to say his names.
This team, I'd like to thank Maria, Ruth, Nick, who's back up here, Gaz, Oggy.
Lush. And me on the location, Steph Jacobson, Mike Whitaker. And I'd like to say a special thank you tonight to my very own Mr Burton. When I was 14, my mum met a guy, a Welsh artist, Chris Griffin, who some of you might know. He's part of a Canvas, Oriel, near chapter, a lovely man. And he taught me how to take photos, and we developed them together. And I'd just like to say thanks to him, because it's without a doubt thanks to him that I got on this road for this lovely industry we're in. So thank you, Billy. And thanks to my North Star, Sam, my wife-to-be. Thank you very much. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, and you wanted to say special thanks to your...
I'd just like to dedicate this to my gran as well, who just missed out on seeing the film, and she would have loved it. So.
And the award goes to Lost Boys and Fairies!
Diolch yn fawr iawn. Diolch yn fawr iawn, BAFTA. Oh, look at these amazing people behind me, because this is their show. As I said, I mean, dwi wedi wneud yn iolchiadau I gyd. I've said all my thanks, really. I don't know if... Have I missed anyone else? Have I missed anyone out?
Shall I give
yes,
it
I need to break. Go on.
I'll hand it back. This is... We really need this. This is brilliant. This means so much to a small independent production company. We have some thanks to make to the BBC, to BBC Wales, to Creative Wales, to all three media, for all believing in this show to begin with, but also to BAFTA for recognising the sort of show that we wanted to make, and to Dav and all of you. But for Dav, you created this, and along with it, you created this world with everyone here. I don't know if we'll ever make a show quite like it again. There was something so special about it. And, you know, I'd like to think this is the start, and I'd like to think that we can make another series out of this, because we would love to. I'm going to stop talking, but I love you all, and this is all of us. This is the sum of all of its parts, and you created it, and it's amazing.
We want to say thank you so much, Ricardo from Wales. You were so welcoming to us. You were so gorgeous. Thank you. So talented and amazing.
Ruth, we're Northerners that are trying to do our thing as well.
A mae'r wobr BAFTA Cymru yn mynd I...
Dav James.
Oh. Whew. Look at your kind faces, eh? Mae fe wir yn golygu gymaint I fi BAFTA Cymru, bod ni'n cael ennill fan hyn yng Nghymru, sioe sy'n dathlu'r hunaniaeth Gymraeg. We managed to get a queer bilingual adoption drama on BBC One. Felly, mae hwn yn golygu'r byd. Dwi ffili diolch I bawb. Of course, I can't thank everybody, but you've heard it tonight already, the cast and crew. Everyone brought their love, their compassion to the show. It's why it is what it is. I'm only as good as the cast and crew who make the show. James Kent, the director, Adam, producer, our wonderful actors. I'm going to name check Sean and Gwyneth here, because you make my lines sing in a way I could never imagine. I want to give a mention to Walter, who was our accountant who we lost this year, and he led his department with such kindness and compassion, and I just think that's something we all know we need in this industry, and we need more people like Walter in this world. BBC, Creative Wales, All Through Media, Helen Perry, the writer's room, she phoned me on a Sunday and begged me to go for the writer's scheme, and I said, no way, because I've been turned down from that scheme twice before, and I'm tired of being rejected. But thank God she pushed me. But it was a Sunday, I was exhausted, I had kids, all of that stuff, but she pushed me to do it, so thank God for Helen. Lily, my agent, and the duck soup. You know how much you mean to me. Jess, Becky, Libby, you're extraordinary. I want the world to know how amazing you are. You held me, you kept me so safe. You're constantly inspiring. You're rigorous with the work, but you're kind with me. You're the best people I could ever work with, and I want to work with you for the rest of my life. I'm, of course, my husband, who, contrary to popular opinion, the people who've watched Lost Boys and Fairies, is very much alive. Thank God he is, because he's picked me up off the floor more times than I can mention. My kids, my children, my children, my 3 kids, without whom this show wouldn't exist. And finally, I want to say, because they don't get celebrated enough, the social workers, the foster carers, the adopters. They're doing life-changing work, really life-changing work, and this one's for them. Thank you.